Okay, so yesterday I got lucky and I scored an entire mechanism complete with motor, idler tires, 100% complete mechanism for this Marantz 1810 cassette deck from 1978. Okay, so I was able to strip it all down and recondition all the parts. And I got this idler tire in the mail. Okay, the one that's in here now, the idler tire, is old and it's been modified, so it's not perfect, but it plays real nice, sounds real good. But out of the mechanism yesterday, I took this idler wheel out, which is right here. Okay, it was a little worn, but I put the new one that came in that envelope, 14 millimeter by 19 millimeter, 2 millimeters wide, and I got it from a company called fixyouraudio.com. So now I tested this on the mechanism that I got yesterday. Okay, so I tested it on this here, reassembled it, and it's a perfect fit. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video, is we're going to be replacing the front idler tire on the Marantz 1810 cassette deck. So first thing we need to do, get the wooden cover off. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back. Okay, with the cover off, we need to get this mechanism out of the unit. Okay, so I need to flip it up on its side. These 3 screws right here will have to come out. Okay, inside the unit, we're going to have to disconnect the record lever spring, okay, which just falls right off as soon as you move that lever. This screw right here above the counter will have to come off. This screw right here with the ground wire is going to have to come off. The ground wire will have to go down behind the VU meter bracket, and then it will come out, so it'll give you room to work. If this is your first time taking one of these units apart, all these screws have Loctite on them. So just some acetone on a Q-tip, remove that Loctite, because if you don't, you're going to strip out those screws and you're going to destroy it. So that's how I was able to get the mechanism, to get the parts that I have now, just so I could do what I'm doing here today. Okay, so now this screw and this screw and this deck is going to start to come out all in one piece. So I'm going to pause the video again. Okay, with all the screws off, I'm going to take the cassette door off. Okay, and then we're going to close the mechanism. pause the video again. Okay, with the mechanism out of the deck, we're going to open the eject mechanism, and then we're going to take this inner plate off. It only has 2 screws holding this plate right here on. Okay, so I'm going to open this up and get that black plate out of there. Okay, this screw right here has to come out, and there's another one right here. It's best to use a magnetic screwdriver. You don't want to drop those screws down in your mechanism. So I'm going to get them 2 screws out. Okay, with those 2 screws out, this plate right here will come right out of there. Okay. Now there's the idler wheel right here that we're going to be replacing. I modified that with some 2-way double sticky tape. Okay. I took the rubber off and I put some 2mm wide double-sided sticky tape underneath of it, and then I put that rubber back on to increase the diameter of the idler wheel. And it works. It works perfectly. Okay. You know, I could probably get years out of it. But, you know, like I said, I scored a whole mechanism on the internet, and I got the brand new idler tire right here, and I tested it in the mechanism I got yesterday, and it fits. So why not do it? So, okay. Now I got to take that little E-clip off of there. That tiny little clip has to come off. So I'll be back. Okay, with that tiny little E-clip off of there, now that idler wheel will slide right off of its post. Okay, so time to get that off of there. Okay, here's the one I just took off. This is the one from the mechanism that came in the mail yesterday. So now I'm going to measure them with a caliper tool just to check the exact diameters of both, because this one is working perfectly after I modified it. So we'll see how close they actually are in size from what I modified to the new one. They are exactly the same size. 20.0. Both of them. That's amazing. So, out with the old, in with the new rubber. This is excellent. So, I'm going to put that one inside the deck now. Okay. Now I cleaned that rubber, that brand new idler tire on there. Now I'm going to clean the capstan wheel inside the mechanism right there, where the idler tire actually sits on. So I'm going to clean that with some alcohol. Okay. Okay. The idler tire is back in there. So now we just have to get that little E-clip back on top of that pole there. But it's in there and it's fitting real nice. So I'm going to have to pause the video to put that little E-clip in there. Okay, With the E-clip back on there, new idler tire is installed. The capstan shaft has been cleaned with alcohol. Everything seems to be moving real nice and free. So nothing is sticking to the other one, which is great. It needs to be able to move freely. So we're going to put this black plate back in there. And we're going to start assembling it. I'm not going to lie, getting that little E-clip back on there is a royal pain in the ass. You can use a little piece of tape or a little piece of a Band-Aid and tape it to the wheel. But I just use a little magnetic flathead screwdriver and some patience. Yeah. Buy some extras at the hardware store. They're a 0.8 millimeter E-clip. So let me start reassembling these. Okay, just need to put the two little black screws back in here. Okay, with that black plate installed, now I can put the mechanism back into the deck. Okay, with the mechanism back into the deck, I'll have to reconnect the record switch spring, reconnect these two screws and the ground wire, and then flip it up and put the 3 screws in the bottom. So far so good. Okay, let's put these screws in it so we can test it. Okay, the ground wire put back up past the VU meter. That's screwed in. The record lever spring has been put back on. This screw has been put back on. Don't forget to clip the counter back in its place. Okay, so all this is done in here. All I need to do now is flip the unit up, put some screws in the bottom. Okay, 3 screws are back in the bottom. Time to start testing it. Okay, got the unit all powered back up. Let's try to fast forward out. Seems to be working just fine. Uh-oh. The rewind seems to be struggling. There it goes. Yeah, we'll work it back and forth a few times. Let's try to play. There you go. I can't play any music because YouTube will give me a strike, you know. So that's how you change the front idler tire. I don't like the way that rewind seems to be struggling a little bit like that. Fast forward and rewind is run by these ones up here. Oh, the auto stop works just great. So the fast forward and rewind is run by these up here. Maybe I'll give them a little rubber renew. You can't hurt it. So, alright, that's the end of this video. Have a good day.